Cardinal Stone proposes the right investment approach for you and helps you achieve your short and long-term goals. Make the right move today and access a broad range of investment products ranging from equities to fixed income. To get started, contact Cardinal Stone on 01-631-2225, 01-710-0433, or send an
All right,
email
wonderful. We're
to
streaming live now.
cardinalstone.com.
All right, so we're streaming live. All right, let's do it.
Cardinal Stone, achieving more together.
Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life.
Personal finance on Smooth 98.1 in association with Cardinal Stone, your trusted financial partner.
To do that, we have to do a couple of things.
Smooth, the 98.1, love music, love life. You are welcome to Personal Finance right here on the Smooth Drive. My name is Jonathan TV.
I'm Gary Baker, and of course, don't forget Cardinal Stone brings to you Personal Finance. Rose joins us today, as always.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to be here. Good to be with you all. Yes, indeed.
I see we do have a special guest joining us live on Zoom, so you can stream us live. We're streaming live on YouTube. Head on there to www.youtube.com/smooth981.fm. Our special guest is joining us live via Zoom all the way from South Africa, and I'll let Roaches do the honors.
Yes, she's the CEO of Hesed Consulting, Vumile Msweli. Vumile, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here.
Wonderful to have you here. I understand today we're talking about starting a side hustle with AFCTFA Insights. You can join the conversation. Send us a WhatsApp message to 0809-444-0981. Any questions you have about this side hustle we're talking about today, send us a WhatsApp message to 0809-444-0981. Mr. Ratanko, you have the floor.
The AFCFTA, of course, is the African Continental Free Trade Area. And what Vumile wants to talk to us about is how, I guess, employees can look to take advantage of it, with respect to the jobs that they're in. So Vumile, yes, I guess take it away. How can employees take advantage of the AFCFTA?
Of course. So I think a lot of us are aware of the fact that to become a multimillionaire, the minimum amount of revenue streams you need is 7. So looking at your job is only one part of it. You're still missing about 6 potential revenue streams. And one of the quickest ways to actually start making that kind of revenue is, of course, the side hustle. I think the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is really setting up Africans to be able to trade internally within the continent. Yes, we're seeking those dollars, but now we can do that within the premise of the continent. And it also means you don't have to leave your day job in order to start generating some of that revenue.
Fantastic stuff. And as far as balance, how can one balance formal employment and a side hustle?
Okay, so the first point of reference is obviously you have to keep your day job. So most of us are going to be working from about 8 o'clock till about 5 o'clock. We throw in some traffic there. We're left with about 12 hours. So ensuring that we still be able to service our employers while starting our side hustles. So our weekends become a space that we can ensure that we use. At lunchtime, if you're lucky enough to be able to have lunch. If you're working from home, you can start leveraging your time a little bit better. And of course, the skill set that you are selling to your employer is something you can now also sell to the rest of the continent. So I will use myself as an example. I'm a career coach. So I work for my company, has said most days during the working hours, but post-working hours, all of a sudden I can be coaching someone who's sitting in Nairobi, Kenya, someone who's sitting in Kinshasa in Congo, someone who's sitting in Abuja in Nigeria. So my entire client base still using the exact same skills that I use for my employer. Now after hours, I can also use. So a lot of people, I know you guys are in Lagos, I know the traffic is hectic, but also what's happening, you can, if you're consulting, you can do that whilst driving. So you literally can use Bluetooth and start consulting in a different time zone. And we mustn't also underestimate the time zone difference. So if you wake up a little bit earlier, you can actually be already servicing clients in, let's say, in South Africa. So usually if you have to be in the office at, let's say, 9 o'clock, you could have been working from 6 o'clock for a client who's already in South Africa, already in East Africa for the previous 2 to 3 hours. It does mean less sleep, but it does mean more money.
Indeed, indeed. Well, a side note, Vumile, are you in Cape Town or Johannesburg? And what's the traffic? You mentioned Lagos traffic, so that's why I'd follow up on that. What's the traffic like when you're in your city, wherever you are?
Okay, so I'm in Johannesburg at the moment. So I live in between Durban, which is in the eastern part of the country, which is known as South Africa's playground. And I am currently in Johannesburg, which is obviously the central hub. Johannesburg at the moment, our traffic has died down. We are currently in level 4 lockdown. So we are experiencing a massive third wave. So we aren't allowed to leave our homes. Also, even yesterday, my food got delivered, so I didn't actually go into the shops, even though I could, because COVID has really, really impacted us. So our ability to move around is impacted, which gives us more time to, I suppose, sell digitally.
Indeed, thank you for that. Kaede, where did you go when you went to South Africa?
I went to Durban, Joburg, and Nelspruit.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, Kaede he loved
I'm
it.
not gonna ask which one is your favorite.
Yeah, which one?
Which one is your favorite? You better say Durban.
I like Durban because I attended the Durban July event, right? And I loved it. So that's why I like
Awesome.
Durban. It was really good. It was really good.
Nice.
You've got good taste, Kaya. The prettiest girls are in Durban.
Look at that.
Vumile, thank you so much. What are the I guess you've mentioned so many African countries, Kenya, Nigeria, and so on and so forth. What about the challenges of starting a side hustle across diverse countries?
So the first point of reference is for you to remember that the cultures are very different. You know, as Africans, because we look the same, we all have this beautiful chocolate skin. We think we're exactly the same. Cultures are fundamentally different. So I recall when I first moved to Lagos, my culture shock as the exuberance and the energy of the city, which increased my pace coming from Southern Africa. And then when I moved to Rwanda to start my business, it was completely opposite. It's a lot more laid back. It's a lot more soft-spoken. If you increase your volume, you come across as very aggressive. So what works for you in one part of the continent will not work for you in the other part of the continent. So the cultural diversity is one aspect. The second aspect is, of course, language. When you are sitting in Mozambique or Angola, obviously you're now in Portuguese territory. If you're sitting in Congo Brazzaville or Congo Kinshasa, you're now in French, or Cameroon, you're now speaking in a French. So the language becomes a bit of a challenge. So being able to translate the value you add across various languages is one aspect. And a small aspect that a lot of us forget is our pronunciation. So how we sound, obviously, in our region is fantastic, but once we go across to another region, all of a sudden it can be lost in translation. So being able to effectively communicate the value we can bring is a very big aspect. So that's just from a doing business perspective and a cultural diversity perspective. Another challenge that you find is how are you going to get your money in and out of your particular country?
Good question.
The strategy I've done with my business is I won't say the name of the bank in Nigeria that I bank with, that helps service me, in the West African region. Whilst in East Africa, I'm with another bank that's got a wider footprint. So taking a look at the banking structures will help you a lot. And I've got another bank that's very, very got a widespread footprint in Southern Africa, across from South Africa, through to Mozambique. I think it's only not in Zimbabwe, but the rest of the time, transacting amongst a region is a lot easier. I know a lot of people are going to say to me, Vumi, I'm only doing this because I want to earn in dollars. You will be able to convert from local currency into dollars, but it's very, very important that you make it as easy as possible for your consumer to be able to interact with you and engage with you. So looking at it from a regional perspective, I think works well. If you're looking at from an ECOWAS perspective, you look at a SADC perspective, perspective, you pretty much cover the majority of sub-Saharan Africa. So that's one thing. Another thing that a lot of us aren't leveraging is getting contacts within a particular region. So when I moved to West Africa, for example, it was easier because I'd studied in Ghana and Gimpa, making the jump across to Nigeria. I met a friend in London, so they could give me a lay of the land. This is stuff that you're not going to find on Google. This is you now having to, in essence, engage people and gather that data from them. So networking becomes critical, and seeing who you can collaborate with, who's in a similar industry in that particular region, where all of a sudden you're doubling up and you're swapping target audiences.
Fantastic, great stuff.
Well,
we close to a break, or we still?
Yeah, we have about 2 minutes more to go.
All right,
but
great.
I wanted to add, besides just the challenges, in starting a side hustle, give us types of side hustles. Some of the side hustles that one can start with.
Oh, this is a very good question. I love it. So one of the things for you to notice is what sells well in your region. But what do I mean by what sells well is what is now inundated and flooded the market. So if you are sitting in West Africa and you're like, oh, we've got shea butter everywhere. That's fantastic. We don't have it in Southern Africa. So it's one of the fastest growing goods in Southern Africa because we've never heard of it. You are in West Africa, you're finding things like chebe powder. I'm being a girl now, I'm thinking about all the hair products. That hasn't penetrated this market. So by collaborating with someone, you can do that. In Southern Africa, I'm wearing right now my Zulu beads. These are popular. These are a dime a dozen. But I've noticed that the moment I land in Kenya, all my friends start whipping them from me. They're like, no. And I'm like, oh, can I get some of the Maasai stuff? Which all of a sudden, I think there's been a massive revolution around being proudly African, and we're starting to wear and dress in each other's home styles. And I think one of the best kept secrets, and I would do this if I was Nigerian, is Nigerian native, specifically for men. I was just in Zambia. I was shocked seeing the MC not dressed in shitenge like you'd expect in Zambia. He was dressed in Nigerian native. I was like, but I really? But it's really, really popular. So why isn't that being imported to Southern Africa if it's such a hit in West Africa?
Wow, look at that. That's a big idea.
It is a good idea. That is a very, very good idea. Okay, are we taking a break?
Yes, we're taking a very short break here. This is Smooth, the 98.1 Love Music, Love Live. This is Personal Finance, brought to you by Cardinal Stone. Stay with us. Do not touch a dial.
It's all about your finances made easy, because financial.
Wow, sorry.
Great stuff, Vumile. Great stuff. So, let's see. What else do we touch on now? Okay,
can we unpack more of the side hustles?
Yes.
Yeah, more of the side hustles.
All right. Great stuff. You have been everywhere. You have been to so many African countries. Gosh.
Rotus, I've been to over 58 countries in the world.
Oh,
wow.
You're
a world citizen, huh?
Exactly.
Look at that.
Yeah, I am.
So having with the lockdown, how's that affected traveling? I guess you haven't moved around as much, right?
No, I've only been in SADC, so I just got back from Zambia. I'm supposed to be going to the US now to see what's happening in my offices there, but because South Africa is on the very banned list, I will not be doing that because it means I've got to fly somewhere else, stay in another country for 2 weeks. So I was thinking I'll go to Puerto Rico for 2 weeks and then get into the US. Oh, wow. But it's such a mission that I'm not sure.
Speaking of the pandemic, how are you guys coping there in South Africa, giving your lockdowns and the I don't know, third wave now, and then the
third wave? And I think the biggest challenge we've got is we aren't allowed to have alcohol, which is all fun and games for someone like me who owns 3 liquor shops. So literally, I'm getting WhatsApps from people. Do you have any wine? Do you have any gin at the house? And I'm like, I'm running out of stuff.
There's someone I follow who fled South Africa to New York with her kids after the lockdown was announced last week. Really sad.
No, it gets very, very difficult.
I know. We're going in studio.
Alrighty, welcome back. If you just joined us, this is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. Personal finance is what you're listening to. It's brought to you by Cardinal Stone. We have a very special guest talking about side hustles, and Rotus is still taking us through it.
Yes. Vumile Msweli, who is the CEO of Hesed Consulting, career coach, talking to us, of course, about taking advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as an entrepreneur, even if you have a steady job as well. So, Vumile, before the break, you were taking us through side hustles. Please continue. If there are any more, you can give us as well.
Awesome. So the initial one is that was easy to discuss was, of course, goods, right? So exchange of goods based on what's popular in your particular country. I touched on West Africa, but what I'd like us to also focus on is don't focus only on your country, focus on your region. So if you are sitting in Port Harcourt, for example, and you know that, it's very easy for me to get Kente next door in Ghana, let me use that to penetrate the East African market. So your approach in looking at the continent regionally is a key focus. Looking at what's popular in your region also becomes a key focus from a goods perspective. You can replicate that model from a service perspective. So what do I mean from a service perspective? If you are sitting in Nigeria, you're very, very fortunate. You've got probably one of the largest markets on the continent. Everyone is trying to get into and penetrate that market. So don't just look out, look in. So what's your expertise that if someone from someone sitting in Kigali saying, I want to understand the Nigerian market, the sort of singular knowledge, the granular knowledge that you've got, you can explain. So moving goods and services, you know what the traffic is like. You can say, actually, this is the process in my country. This is what's required. These are people I can potentially help connect you with. So you're now taking your inherent knowledge and you're making it into a consulting business for your fellow Africans. You're basically leveraging the advantage you have in being in the largest economy and largest population on the continent. So think in as well as think out. Another one for me that is very, very interesting is, yes, of course, the African Free Trade Agreement is something that we're focused on, but what about the rest of the world? So I'm sitting in South Africa at the moment, and I'm busy trying to learn Yoruba. And
Nice.
who can teach me that language? Who can teach me that language? I have to pay someone to do that. And that's inherent knowledge you have. Why aren't you leveraging it? A friend of mine did something similar where she was like, oh my goodness, Black Panther came out. Everyone, there was this whole craze of wanting to be Africans. And she was like, you know the hats they wear in Black Panther? My tribe, Zulu. I can teach you the language. Oh, Shaka Zulu, Shaka Zulu. All of a sudden, she's making US dollars. Wow. Teaching basic isiZulu to people outside. So you've already got that advantage. You've got that advantage to people in East and Central and West Africa who are wanting to understand and learn language. And then, of course, we cannot not touch about Nigerian food. If you know how to hook up proper egusi, if you know how to hook up proper jollof, why are you not charging people to make it? Like even today, I was laughing at a friend of mine in Botswana who's doing a virtual jollof off. So she's got someone from Nigeria teaching her, someone from Ghana teaching her, and we are all tuning in and getting the spices. So you partner with someone who's in South Africa currently to say, listen, the bell peppers, the tomato paste, whatever I need, the box can get delivered. All of a sudden, you are now generating revenue in the comfort of your own home based on the inherent knowledge you have. I don't want us to throw away knowledge thinking, oh, okay, but that only works in the workplace. We're looking at people holistically. We are being forced to stay at home. What do you have currently from a services perspective, from a knowledge perspective that you can monetize that is of no value necessarily in your internal market, but the moment you go outside of your market becomes very, very valuable and you can earn some good currency generating that revenue.
Fantastic. Great stuff.
You've been part of the show. Send us a WhatsApp message to 0809-444-0981. Again, 0809-444-0981. You can also stream us live or streaming live on YouTube on www.youtube.com/smooth981fm. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit the notification button so you can be notified whenever we go live. I have a message here from Charles Cheetahs, and it goes, she knows the traffic is hectic in Lagos. I think the Lagos traffic should be one of our national tourist attractions. The world has heard about it.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, it's not just knowledge from it's not just knowledge that I've read about. It's something I've experienced. It's something I've experienced. So it's definitely traumatic. My heart goes out to you, Lagosians.
Oh my goodness, it's something else. Thanks for that. At what point do you consider ditching the full-time job for the side hustle if it gets big enough, or do you just keep both going at the same for as long as you can?
Oh, that's a great question. So in my particular case, I remember I started my side hustle, which was coaching, in 2012. I only left after 7, 8 years. And we must remember this, it says, we plan and God laughs. That's exactly what business is like. So what's working right now, specifically in a side hustle, might be generating revenue because it might be seasonal. So once you've seen over several years that in essence, it's growing and able to capitalize. And even before I left, I was already starting to employ people. Then I knew, okay, it's now matching my salary. My own personal rule is you're wanting to leave when it's 1.5 times to 2 times your company revenue. Because remember that your salary will then disappear. So let's say you're making, simplistic example, you're making 100,000 Naira a month. You're now started this amazing side hustle. You are exporting a shea butter and palm oil to, Somalia, and you're making an extra 50,000. After a year, that's an extra 100,000. Your salary hasn't increased, it's COVID. Then you're sitting at 150,000. So your monthly revenue is now 250,000 Naira. The moment you say, I'm making more than enough, I've matched, I'm gone, just make sure that your expenditure hasn't also increased as it tends to do. I think we all know what it's like. We get a little bit of coin and all of a sudden normal shirt won't do, we now need Versace. So we need to say, if all I did was live off my side hustle, then I'd be comfortable to continue paying my rent, paying for the car, fuel, all of that. My lifestyle will remain the same. That's one thing. The second thing is also you wanting to remember when it comes to your side hustle is my general rule of thumb when it comes to side hustles is reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. So if you are, I do masterclasses. Every masterclass I've done this entire year, I haven't touched that money. I've reinvested it back into the business so it can multiply. So don't start seeing the revenue come in and start, going online and saying, these guys are going to know me. I'm finally going to dress up. It has to be reinvested into the business so the business can expand. And also remember, a big, big challenge that a lot of people forget is there's a difference between having a side hustle and being self-employed. One still requires your time, your energy, your capability, whilst the other is a business that generates revenue for you. So even if you're going to be teaching, if you all of a sudden realize, I'm teaching Umboti how to make traditional Zulu beer, or if I can get my niece to do it on my behalf, and I can sit comfortably at home and not have to worry, I've now got a business. So those are two different mentalities. I don't want you to leave your day job just to pick up another job where you are still the employee. We have to start thinking business and scalability.
Fantastic. And since you're still on the theme of personal finance, how can you talk to us about discipline with expenditure? You're talking about, just because your revenues are matching, you should also watch expenditure. How can folks be more disciplined about their spending?
Ooh, that's the reality I find with a lot of my coaching clients in corporate is people don't know how much they spend. They genuinely don't know how much they spend. So if I say to you, how much on a monthly, your budget, you're like, I think for food, and I've got to save for my rent. I spend about maybe 50,000, and then you don't count when you stopped on the road and you bought some nuts. You don't count when you decided that you're gonna go have drinks with some friends. Oh no, man, I only had like 1 or 2 drinks. But in essence, you were bleeding like 2 bottles.
Right.
So you were not authentic in your awareness of your actual expenditure. So step 1 for me when looking at personal finance is let's get a baseline. How much are you actually spending? So if you notice that you go to the bank, you've gone to the ATM, you've withdrawn 150,000 Naira, watch where you're spending it and how you are spending it. Once you know the reality of your spending, you can then start adjusting it accordingly. So a little trick I like to use is, I'm going out with friends, let me have a glass of wine at home. So when I get there, I'm only going to have 1 glass of wine. We're all going to Uber. So let's do a collective Uber as opposed to me driving. It works out a little bit cheaper. So starting to know your baseline and the reality of your expenditure allows you to make the amendments required for your expenditure. And of course, you're going to be now with the side hustles, you're going to be generating revenue in different currencies. Just because you're earning in dollars does not mean it's time for you to convert those dollars into Naira in order to spend. I think one of my greatest mentors in Singapore once said to me, earn in a currency that's stronger in yours. He made money in Singaporean dollars and he spent in Indian rupees. So he used all of the currency differentiation he used to actually build more properties in his hometown in India. So that generated some revenue for him. So just because, yes, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement is here, yes, you're going to be making a lot more revenue, it doesn't mean you need to spend it. Take a look at where your current expenditure is and make sure you're able to be a bit smart around that currency differentiation.
Great
All right.
stuff.
We have a message here. It's a question from Yinka Bodo. He goes, what should be one's financial target for side hustle? Is it 100K or 100 to 200K decent? And by 100,000, he means 100,000 Naira to 200,000 Naira decent. That's aside from your salary. And he's asking for a month. You know, how much does one target financially for a month?
That's a great question. Yinka, to be honest with you, for me, even if you're making an extra 5,000 Naira, that's 5,000 Naira you didn't have last month. So we have to be realistic in our expectations as how quickly we can scale and how quickly we can start generating the revenue. So to take a look at that for me is, where am I now? And have incremental targets. So let's say you initially started with 5,000 Naira as your target, you made it 10,000 Naira within the quarter. So take a look at your target for the whole of the year, break that down into quarters and break that down then into monthly. But 5,000 Naira that you didn't have is better than 5,000 Naira that you're like, oh, I should have started the side hustle. That's the way I think we should be thinking about it.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
I think we
stuff.
lost her
Great
there
stuff.
a bit. She's frozen. But it can be part of the show. We have a bit of more time. Okay.
Okay, yeah, she's back. There we go. Okay, I got you. We got you.
All right.
Okay. Vumile, has the pandemic oriented entrepreneurs to start businesses that can be, I don't know, virus proof? Is there any lessons from this pandemic and how it's affected businesses that one can take going forward?
Oh, that's a great question. Definitely. I think the pandemic has made us think about sustainability if you could not leave your house. And it also has shocked us into the realization that no job is safe. So what you thought was a critical skill, in essence, if it's not food and it's not health, all of a sudden it's not that important. We all ate a lot of humble pie thinking, I'm so important. I'm an executive. I sit on this board. You're not that important. The world continues without you. So taking a look at businesses, and this is very important, is in diversification and diversifying the kind of businesses you've gone into. I'll use myself, for example. I've recently, as in today, opened up a butchery because all of a sudden I realized food is so important. So I've had to open up a butchery in Durban to, one, make sure my mother's busy, but also if all my other businesses fail, trust me, South Africans are going to be eating meat.
Exactly. Excellent stuff. Vumile, this has been
really wonderful. It's been very insightful.
Please, before you go, can you give us your, I guess, either your Twitter or Instagram where folks can reach out to you?
Twitter is
perfect. So,
oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, we have a little bit of a Twitter ban here, so Instagram, please.
Oh, my prayers are with you.
Thank you.
Of course, the conversation can continue on our social media streets. On Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you will find me as Vumi, V for Victory, UMI, Msweli, MSWELI -career coach. Vumi Msweli -career coach. And you'll find me on all social media. And whenever the ban is lifted, I'll see you on the Twitter streets.
And that's it. Really nice.
Thank you so much. Vumile Msweli, career coach and CEO of Hesse Consulting. Really appreciate your time today. Really liked it a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. And that brings us to the very end of Personal Finance, brought to you by Cardinal Stone. You can catch it every Wednesday from 5:15 all the way to 5:45. The Smooth Drive continues on the other side with Jennifer TV and... All right.
So how do we get it on?